everybody, and welcome to Dungeons & Dragons Online Eberron Unlimited. This is the screen that you get when you launch your client and log in, and what I'm going to do is make a guide on newer players. All my videos right now are for people who know what they're doing and who are just looking for tips and tricks in different dungeons on how to save some time or how to bypass some enemies. But for now I'm going to be making a guide for some newer players and what they can expect and what they can do. So what you're going to want to do is when you get here, you're going to want to create a new character. Now you can create a melee, a spell, or a specialist. Some people will argue that a melee is simpler for your first character. Some people will argue that a caster is better for your first character. Very few people will argue that a specialist is, because they've got all sorts of things going for them that you really do need some experience in order to play. The first rule about Dungeons & Dragons Online is, unlike other games, if you make a mistake when you create your character, you're either going to have to deal with it or you're going to have to pay some real money to fix it later on. So that's why I suggest playing a caster, is because there are very few things that can go wrong with playing a caster. So I'm going to create my caster. Now, if you play and you have a free account, you're not going to have Favored Soul unlocked and you're not going to have Warforged unlocked. Now, I highly suggest for your first character, if you're going to make a caster, to make a Warforged caster. That's why I suggest that you do have Warforged purchased, but if not, then you can make a human and eventually get to Warforged. Huge advantages for having a Warforged sorcerer. One of them is being that you can heal yourself. Another one being you're immune to poisons and all sorts of things that really help with your survivability later on. So I'm going to make my sorcerer here. Never choose one of these paths. Even if you're new, you might want to learn some things about customizing your character, because these paths, you really don't know what they're going to do, and they're really not optimal. They usually mix up the stats in a way that is not preferable to endgame content or to optimization. So customize, we're going to go there, and I'm going to make mine Warforged. Again, you can make yours a human if you want, but I do suggest getting Warforged because of the immunities and the ability to self-heal, and that self-heal is really going to help you later on. It'll help you solo, it'll help you get through dungeons and do a lot more. And I always play Warforged. I've been playing Warforged for many years now, and I think it's just great. It really helps out, and it lets me solo all sorts of content. So I'm going to choose Warforged here. Okay, now here are your statistics. What you're going to want to focus on for Sorcerer is Charisma. So you're going to want to max this out. Always max it out. Never settle for less. Maximum is what you want. So you want it to say maximum here. If you're a wizard, you're going to put Intelligence right here. You know, if you start off as a different class, just do a little bit of research on what stats you need. Don't, for example, put Intelligence on a Sorcerer. It does absolutely no good for yourself. So make sure you put Charisma, and then as a caster, Constitution. Now you're not going to have 32 points, so you're probably only going to get your Constitution to 18 or so. And then if you have any extra points, you could put it in Strength, just because it gives you some extra carrying capacity. So Constitution and Charisma, that's what you're going to max out. Never minimize your Constitution. You'll hear things like Constitution is a dump stat or Constitution is not a dump stat. It is definitely not a dump stat. You want to get a very good Constitution. Maximum is great because you're a caster. Casters don't really need anything else. Casters don't need Wisdom, Intelligence, unless you're a wizard. They don't need Dexterity. They don't need Strength. So once you max out your Charisma, you want to go with Constitution, because that'll give you more hit points and more fortitude saves, which will essentially keep you alive longer. If you keep this at a low number, you're going to find yourself dying a lot in the lower level dungeons. Okay, so now we have your skills. We only have 4 skill points here. What I always do is I always go with Use Magic Device. It's great for a sorcerer because they have their Charisma, and you might not know what it does right now, and that's okay, but trust me, you'll be great that you got it later on. It'll let you use Resurrection Scrolls, it'll let you use other scrolls and other items that you normally wouldn't be able to use. I would say that it's definitely the most powerful skill. Now I can't bring up my concentration, so I'm not going to actually be able to level it until 7 when I use an Intelligence Tome. So that is going to hurt me a little bit, and that's one of the disadvantages with starting off as a new character, is you don't get the customization as you do with playing a lot. But I'm still going to use Magic Device just because it'll let me use things like Resurrection Scrolls later on. That will be very helpful. Concentration, it is important, but I don't think it will hurt you that badly at the lower levels, just having 5, because you really don't need that high to save. But it would hurt you at the higher levels to not have a high concentration. Okay, so now we have the feats. We only have 1 feat as a Warforged. As a human, you have 1 more. Now, Warforged, for a sorcerer, feats are very limited. You have to be very careful with what you choose. And on my sorcerer that I had before, I predetermined all the feats. I did everything beforehand, so I don't have to decide right now. But one of the feats that I would definitely take from the beginning is toughness. Just take it once. Don't take it more than once. It's only worth it taking it once. But what it does is it gives you 3 extra hit points and 1 for each level after that. Now, why that's good is because it also unlocks some enhancements. And what it does is it lets you get even more hit points. It lets you get up to an additional 30. So what this does is it basically, you know, if you were to be level 20, it gives you about 50 to 60 extra hit points, which is huge in this game. 50 hit points is a lot at level 20. So definitely take that. You're going to want to take that for sure. And then we have our spells. Now, sorcerers are very limited on spells. As a wizard, I believe you can choose 7 spells here, and then you can use scrolls to get the rest of your spells. But what I would choose, I would definitely choose Burning Hands. This is a great spell at the lower levels. Not so good at level 1, but definitely good at level 2 and 3 when you get that spell boost. And what it does is it's a cone area of effect fire spell. And it's absolutely great for leveling. It's really the only spell you need at level 1, in my opinion. You can use this spell for a very long time, very effectively. They reduce the spell point cost from 10 to 4, so you can essentially spam it over and over without depleting your spell pool that much, and it's just a great spell. It'll definitely last you a long time. And then, I'm going to choose Expeditious Retreat, just because I'm the kind of person who, when I start off, I want to be able to level the quickest, move the quickest, get to places the quickest, and it'll give me a 20% boost to run speed, so it'll let me get around quicker. You might want to go with something else. You could go with Magic Missiles or Nyax's Cold Ray. That's a great Nyax's Cold Ray is a great single target spell. Yeah, you might want to go with that. Magic Missile is a very simple spell. Just fires a missile at the target, no save, but it's lower damage. And those are really the only spells that you need. A lot of these spells you really don't need. You know, Acid Spray is pretty much the same as Burning Hands, except acid. You could take that if you wanted to go with acid damage. Cost Fear, really not that useful. Charm Person, really not that useful. Chill Touch, I've never really used Chill Touch, but I just don't think it has as much potential as a spell like Burning Hands, so I never really took it. Detect Secret Doors is great if you want to detect doors, but you can always use a scroll and save a spell slot there. Featherfall is good until you get a Feather Falling item. Grease, not that good. Hypnotism, great, but you don't really need it at level 1, so you could just not take it for now. Jump, great, get it later on. You don't need it at level 1. Mage Armor, never really found armor class to be that useful on a sorcerer. Magic Missile, as I said, you can take that if you want. Master's Touch, I don't really use weapons on my sorcerer or a caster, so never really need to take that. Merfolk's Blessing, absolutely useless. Nyax's Cold Ray, again, great single target at lower levels, but at higher levels it becomes less useful. Night Shield is great later on for resistance. Obscuring Mist, useless. Protection from Evil, good, but you don't need it at level 1. Repair Light Damage, not that useful because you can just use potions. Now the thing is, for a newer player, you're probably not going to have that much money. And so you might want to take this, actually. But if you've got some money or you have a friend, they can get you some potions and it'll take care of everything that the spell does, healing you. And the cheap potions are really not that expensive. But the expensive ones can be. There's Repair Light, Moderate, and Serious. The serious ones can be quite expensive, but the light ones are not. So you should be able to afford some potions pretty quickly. If not, you can ask a friend or someone you know. Ray of Enfeeblement, never really found it to be that useful. Shield, armor class, not that useful if you have Night Shield. because Night Shield protects you against magic missiles and so does Shield, except resistance is better. Shocking Grasp, never found it to be that useful. Sleep, not that useful. Sonic Blast, I've never really used Sonic Blast, so I can't say. Summon Monster, some people will argue that summon monsters are good. I never really used them. I never really found a use for them, so I never take them. Tumble, really not that useful. So that's about it. Burning Hands, Expeditious Retreat, that's what I'm going to take. And now we're about to finish up here. And we have our stats, Constitution, Charisma, Spell Points, Hit Points. Everything we have is looking good. We have our skills here, we have our abilities and everything. We're just about done. We've got everything going. Our customization here now. Now, I would start off as a neutral. See, this is alignment over here. You've got all these alignments, and you're probably not going to have a clue of what they do. And the thing is, it doesn't really tell you what they do either. So you either have to know a little bit about Dungeons & Dragons to know what your alignment does, or you're just going to pick a random one. I'd pick neutral, just because it'll help you out with some items later on. You don't really need to worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. It's just, it's more important for melee who use, weapons that have to do with alignment restrictions, but for a caster it really doesn't make much of a difference, just for one or two items that you might use later on in the game. And then you have your customization here. Just gonna make my guy look crazy. I'll randomize it. That looks pretty good. I think I'll go with that. And then you have your name and your surname. Your first name is what's important. That's what people will identify you as, and your surname is just a second name, just for fun if you want. Again, completely random, just thought of it. And I'm going to create my character. And there he is right there. If you've gotten to this point, you should be good. You can always go back and check over some things like what stats and everything. And my next video I will be making a little bit later. I am going to be focusing on what to do in the game, how to get started, tutorial quests and everything. Thanks again for watching. If you like this, feel free to subscribe. I will be coming out with more videos. Yeah, and make sure if you do make a new account, I have my referral link on my YouTube channel. Make sure to follow. And that's about it. So thanks, and I'll be coming out with the next video of this shortly. And that's about it.